I love that song. I don't know where they found it, but good job, Fastenal. Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. My name is Sarah Barnes-Humphrey. I am the founder and host of Let's Talk Supply Chain, as well as the Blended Podcast, and now the Blended Pledge. And I am here with you this morning, and it's been a crazy morning already. It looks like we might be changing up our guest for today because Laura hasn't shown up yet, so we're just going to roll with it today, kids. I've got this. I've got this. So I hope you're having an amazing week so far. And let's get into what is happening with Let's Talk Supply Chain. But first, actually, I want to give a bit of a shout out because remember last week we said this Tuesday, Audrey has it off because it's her 40th birthday today. Happy birthday to Audrey. It's also Shneha's birthday as well. So I want to give a shout out to those two and hope they are having an amazing day today. All right, let's get started. So we have our episode of the week, and I spoke to Joseph from Xenoff BPO. And if you don't know who they are, or if you're thinking of outsourcing, so I really love this episode because outsourcing is kind of the new way of being efficient when you're thinking about your teams. And they do a really, really great job of supporting supply chain professionals, supply chain companies in outsourcing a variety of different tasks. And they work 24/7. So you never have any downtime, which I love. So if you haven't gone to check them out yet, go and check out that episode. It's wherever you subscribe to the Let's Talk Supply Chain podcast. You can also find it on letstalksupplychain.com, and it's episode 254. What else have we got going on? All right. Well, we got some big news last week. So Claudia Knowlton-Scheich, she is a senior supply chain leader over at Google, and she donated $5,000 to the Blended Pledge. Now, if you guys haven't heard about it, AJ is going to put it in the comments. We want you to go to the GoFundMe page and go and check it out. But what this means, because we're going to be giving away grants to diverse voices to say yes to speaking engagements. So we can see a visual change on industry stages. And what this means is that we're going to be able to give away a grant way earlier than our goal of June. So thank you so much to Claudia. We're also talking to corporate sponsors about giving them their own customized grant as well. So if you know anybody who's interested, please do reach out to me and let me know. Next, we've got our events that are coming up. But first, I do want to say a shout out to Lisa Gasol because she is our follower of the month, and we're going to be posting about that this week. So she's going to get our Let's Talk Supply Chain mug because she was engaging with us the most this month. So let's talk about the events that are coming up. So this Friday, Log Tech Live with Eric Johnson. He has got an incredible guest coming up that you're not going to want to miss. So that's 10 a.m. Eastern on Friday. And then, of course, on April 6th, I'm going to be doing a webinar in conjunction or collaboration with Four Kites and Narvar, talking about, are your last mile problems really last mile problems? This one is a lot of fun, so I cannot wait. Fab just lives down the road from me, and we're going to have a great time on that webinar. So make sure to go and register and come and join us. And then every second Friday, we've got action items with DC Shrigola. That's at 10 a.m. Eastern as well. And then, of course, no bullshipping with Hope White. She had a great guest on last week. So if you missed it, go to the Let's Talk Supply Chain YouTube page, which I'm going to show you right now. This is our YouTube page, and we've got playlists for every single one of our live shows. So if you missed it, you can go and check them out. But last week, Hope's guest was talking about how container rates and shipping is almost like day trading. And I really liked that analogy. So go and check that out. And then, of course, we've got First Thing First with Mercado. That's going to be live next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Coming in hot. That happened last week, too. So go check her out as well. And that is the end of our event. So I showed you our YouTube page. So go and subscribe at Let's Talk Supply Chain on YouTube. And then I also want to show you our TikTok page. So we're getting a ton of love over on our TikTok. Abby is doing a really, really great job. She just did a recent TikTok about what is happening with the shortages in supply chain. And that got almost like 4,000 views or something like that. So if you're not following us on TikTok, but you are on TikTok, please go and check us out because we're always creating some new and innovative content, right? We're really creating a way for showing real world examples and how supply chain sort of fits into that. So we definitely want to see you there. All right, so it's time to bring up our mystery guest for today. Unfortunately, so originally it was supposed to be Laura Ciceri from Supply Chain Insights, but I don't know what has happened. I hope that she's okay. So we've got AJ joining us today. And I don't know if any of you know this, but AJ is part of the Let's Talk Supply Chain team. And he's always the one that I give the shout out to add a link so that you guys can go and check things out. So good morning, AJ, and welcome.
Pay no attention to the man behind the mirror or behind the screen. It's funny, Sarah. How long have we been talking about this of me just standing up just in case you needed someone to stand in?
We have talked about that so many times. And to be honest with you, it's never really happened.
It
So
hasn't.
I'm always like, 5 minutes to go on the show. And I'm like, AJ, you need to be ready. You need to be ready to come up on stage. And this morning we absolutely needed that. So here he is. So why don't you do a bit of an introduction so everybody knows who you are?
Yeah, so AJ Tjaden, I'm the Director of Customer Success for FDP Today, which is a secure file transfer, file sharing program here in the U.S. Based here in Dallas, Texas. What else can I tell you? I'm getting married exactly a month from today, so
Yes,
which is
you
very
are.
exciting. Very exciting. April 29th. I have it on my calendar. I'm all ready to go. I think my fiance Amber, she's excited. We're more excited for it to be done than for it to happen, but it's going to be in Tucson, Arizona. We're really excited for it. The funny thing is with, dealing with COVID and with planning a wedding is we weren't arguing, we were fighting with other 2020 and 2021 couples. So we looked at a wedding venues in February of 2021. You remember when that huge snowstorm in Texas happened and it shut down all the power grids? Well, we actually left and got out and went to Tucson, where she's from. And we were looking at so many venues and like, oh yeah, we're booked up for the rest of the year, but we have some Thursday spots available. And I'm like, yeah, no. I said, I have two requirements. One, it can't be during football season in the fall. And it can't be during during March Madness because I went to Iowa State. So I was in Chicago watching my Cyclones playing the Sweet 16 last week. But, so that was my two requirements for the wedding. But we're excited about it.
You're telling us your whole life story. I love it. Jeffrey says, AJ, have you worked out all the logistics issues for your wedding? I mean, you're from the logistics and supply chain industry, so I would hope that you have. Have you?
I still have all my gifts are out in a store, or who knows? It might be showing up with trucks.
Well, okay, I can say there's one logistics issue. So I went on their registry and I wanted to buy them 2 toothbrushes and there's only one left. So I ended up with the home purifier, just so everybody knows. I want to give a shout out to Eric, Imtiaz, David, and Stefan over on my personal LinkedIn. Eric thinks that Eric Johnson on Log Tech Live should have a Lego building contest on his show with his son. And so he's really pushing that over on my personal LinkedIn. But I think we need to get to what we're talking about today.
Yes,
all right. So let's get to the poll of the week. So I don't know. Last week Audrey and I talked about that daylight savings time article in The Hustle, really giving us the history on daylight savings time, what it actually means to us, whether we need it, whether we don't need it. And so we thought we wanted to ask the rest of the community about what you actually thought about daylight savings time. And so this is what we did. So we said, should we stop with daylight savings time? 76% of you said, yes, it is too confusing. And I kind of agree with you on that. And 24% of you said no. I'd kind of like to hear from the 24% of you that said no, because I want to know why, because I just think that we should all, anyways, if it changes, it throws everything off. And I'd like a lighter morning, which a lot of people were saying in the comments. AJ, what did you think of this one?
I love our polls. It's one of my favorite parts of the week of figuring out what we want to ask, our followers. And for this especially, it kind of hit home because my fiance is from Arizona, where they don't observe daylight savings time. Now, I can say from personal experience, I like daylight savings time because, spring into forward or fall and, fall back during the fall. I love it because it gets we're so used to the days getting shorter in this winter and the days getting longer in the summer. But how does this affect the rest of, North America? Because this is only, I think, just for the US. And someone put that in the comments. Does this affect Mexico? Does this affect Nicaragua or any of the, countries? It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Sam says of all the things for our government to focus on. I kind of agree with you. And Rhonda says, yes, we should get rid of it. And then she's not sure why people said no. I'm kind of with you on that. A couple of people. So Michael says, I personally do not want it to be dark until 9:30 in the morning. Michael, I'm with you. Alessandra, clearly I'm in the minority, but dark mornings. So with you on that. And William says, daylight savings time has outlived its purpose and usefulness in most aspects due to time and advancements. And then Bruce said, I saw in an interview where it was reported that the medical establishments want there to be no time change, but they want us to stay on standard time year round. And Tony says, yes, please. Rachel said, how would the rest of North America operate? Would Canada and Mexico adopt this as well? That was kind of my question last week as well, because I was like, if Canada decides not to observe, but then the US does, then I think there's like an hour time. There's going to be a time difference between us and Buffalo. And Buffalo is literally like an hour away, which is a little bit strange. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie on that one. All right. So let's now talk about my post from Sunday. So you all know that I post something on Sunday just to stir some thoughts, thoughts. It wouldn't be thoughts and coffee without something to think about. And so this is the post that we put up. Don't let fear paralyze you. Let it motivate you. And that is something that I've kind of lived most of my life. A lot of I've always shared my fear of public speaking. And I've shared the story about how I hired a talent agent to get over my fear of public speaking and get in front of the camera. And after a few years, obviously it's worked because I'm a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. I still get those butterflies before I get on stage, but I also embrace that now because I think that that's a good thing, right? It means that you're excited and it means that you care. So AJ, when you saw this post, what did you think? Is there something that you are fearful of, but you went and did anyway?
Oh gosh, I'm
throwing you under the bus right now because we have not prepared for this one.
Well, okay. I think the fear. Two things. One, when I read this and saw this, I instantly thought of you got to risk it to get the biscuit. I was very fearful out of college, and this. I went into supply chain knowing, not knowing much when I first went in with BNSF Logistics, and then moving from Iowa to Fayetteville, Arkansas, to Dallas, Texas now. And I was scared, but, I really got to meet so many people within the supply chain, which really kept me in here. So the fear of the unknown is scary, but if you don't do it, I could be back on a farm in Iowa raising cattle and corn. But it's fearful, but I'm glad that I did it. And Sarah, we met 3 years ago, and to your public speaking comment, right now we're doing thoughts and coffee. Like, I think you're perfectly fine with public speaking. Let's see, you host how many fireside chats, like at TPM, like you're speaking all over. I can't keep up with everything that you're doing.
Well, I've clearly done something right. I mean, for the most part, then I guess. I want to read some of the comments that we had. So, Eli Braun, I always say fear stands for face everything and rise, or forget everything and run. The choice is yours. I really like that. And
like
then, yeah, Galit says F stands for false, E stands for evident, A stands for appearing, and R stands for real. And one of the questions or one of the conversations I had a couple of weeks ago too was about how the feeling of fear and the feeling of excitement are kind of the same thing, but really just a difference in mindset and how you think about it. And so that's kind of actually really, really helped me in getting over that fear. I mean, obviously everything that I did in between, but really changing that mindset and being like, no, I'm excited. I'm not fearful. But anyways, now it's time for us to get into our supply chain topics. So now AJ is going to have this conversation with me, but he's also going to post the links for all of you to go and check it out. So this is going to be fun. So our first article is about Costco and how it's grown its LTL arm to fulfill 85% of big and bulky home deliveries. Now, the reason why I chose this article is because we've kind of seen and we've talked about a few articles where retail is now taking control of their logistics. And so I think this is really becoming a bit of a trend. When you think about big and bulky items, they're not easy to deliver. And so to rely on some of the the UPSs of the world, the FedExes, to deliver that big and bulky, it's very, very difficult, right? Because that's not something that they specialize in. And they really want to be delivering the small, easy to deliver packages. And so they've always presented a bit of a challenge for home deliveries. But obviously, with COVID and everybody staying at home and not being able to pick it up, plus you have to have a truck. Like, there's so much logistics to having to go and pick up a big and bulky item. I think this is really a smart move. And so they can also control everything that they're doing from a logistics standpoint, which is great as well. And so they acquired a logistics division for $1 billion back in 2020. So this talks about the company that they acquired. But they are doing 3 million deliveries in a year. So for them, it really does make sense to have that control. But the question is, are we going to see more retailers taking control of their logistics? So AJ, when you read this, what did you think?
Well, first of all, I am a card member, so here's my Costco card. So I just had to share this. I love Costco. I think I stand by this comment of the hot dogs are the best thing there for $1.50. The first thing that made me think of Costco is everything's bulky. So, with their LTL, are there going to be, not like Amazon where they have the smaller trucks that drive around and deliver everything? Are we going to see 18-wheelers pulling up to my house to deliver, all my like, who knows? Because Costco has so big products in there. You can get anything. I mean, you guys have them in Canada, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
seriously, that was such an American thing to say.
Oh my God. I just like to ask. I mean, you never know.
We don't have the 24-hour clock either. That was something that I saw on TV like a couple of years ago. I'm sorry, I had to say it. I had to say it. But yeah, and I agree with you, right? They sell all sorts of different things, and delivery is kind of the new thing that everybody is really expecting. And so to be able to take control over that. So when they did that acquisition, it actually gave them a 90% coverage of the US, which is a pretty big deal considering how Costco is in every single state in multiple different places. So being able to give them 90% coverage in the US. And then it also gave them 11 distribution and fulfillment centers as well, which gives them a lot more a lot more options to get to their consumers faster. I just need to put this up there because DC likes
I saw that. I was like, please don't put that up.
I mean, there's a few things I could say, but anyways. My favorite bulk shopping store. I like perusing the store itself. They have random items. I like perusing the store as well, but I don't like having to figure out how to get a truck and get there to pick up the item that I've paid for. So if they can deliver it to me, I kind of will take it. And then Jeffrey says retailers will get closer to the logistics, but I do not think that most will get into the logistics business. Interesting. So I guess only time will tell. Yeah. All right, time for the next one. So this is Laura's newest project, I think. It's called Project Zebra. Now, I am only bringing it up. AJ and I don't know a ton about this, but I'm bringing it up and we're sharing the link because I think it is a really great initiative that they're putting out there, and it's around reverse RFPs. And what they're doing is they're talking about why they're talking about supply chain processes inside out. They're kind of talking about how taking out traditional thinking and bringing in new thinking around supply chains is really how we're going to bring supply chain into the future. We're going to be able to gain more visibility, et cetera, et cetera. And so I would really like for you all to go and check it out. It looks like there's some resources there for you to check out. It talks about the team that they've put together. It talks about what they're doing and how they're bringing supply chain together to really talk about sort of unlearning and learning. I don't know if you guys know this, but Laura has an event coming up in September. I'm going to be hosting the digital side of that event for Laura and the team at Supply Chain Insights. And we're going to be talking about a lot about unlearning and then relearning and how important that is to supply chains right now and the future of supply chains becoming more adaptable and resilient, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So highly recommend you go and check that out. Sam says Project Zebra is fascinating, so she's encouraging for you to go and check that out as well. So
you think it's black and white, like it's, straightforward, or, get it because it's zebra,
Yeah.
Is a zebra black with white stripes or white with black stripes?
Oh, stop it. You're going to put that as a poll next time.
That is going to be the poll. That should be the poll. I like that.
Anyways, so our next article is from McKinsey. So I chose this article because it gives us a lot of information, a lot of graphs as to the disruption and everything that we've seen in the last 2 years. But it also talks about the 4 major pillars of what we're going to kind of see in the next year or so. They are talking about how the container rates are not going to go anywhere for the majority of 2022. But a lot of the insights that they have in this particular article are pretty fascinating. Average container schedule delays have doubled globally and increased 6 times on the Far East and North America trade. So if you're a supply chain professional, obviously moving containers right now, I mean, this is no surprise to you, but this is a really, really big deal when you think about supply chain shortages and you're sitting back and wondering, why are we still seeing that? Well, it's because of this. And it's because we've had so many disruptions. I mean, right now, China has shut down again. Mm-hmm. And so where has the relief been for supply chains? There really hasn't been a relief for us to be able to, sort of, I wouldn't say reset. Reset is the wrong word, but really to be able to just sort of gain our breath and then keep moving forward, right? What did you think of this article, AJ?
I liked it. The one thing, and just kind of reading more into it, we're still feeling the effects from the blockage in the Suez Canal. And that really kind of resonated with me. I remember when that happened, you were, I think, were calling me like, hey, like we need to get this out there. And we had like so many articles about what's going on in the Suez Canal, but we're still feeling the effects. Like you said, China shut down the containers. It's funny, I believe one just came out and said that they just purchased 6,500 new refrigerated containers that are going to be going all over, but it's primarily for the US. And a lot of it deals with the congestion. Think of like LA, Long Beach, where truckers are sitting in traffic for hours trying to get their containers to the vendor then back to the shipyard. So where are the containers? I know we talked about it, a few weeks ago with Audrey about container storage sites, maybe near the port or within the cities. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in 2022 and especially 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. And so these are the four possible scenarios that they talk about for recovery. So one of them is rapid market recovery to 2019 levels. I don't know if that's going to happen, but they do talk about it in this article. Market economics play out, slower capacity recover, and failed recovery with elevated rates. So, definitely four scenarios that you're going to want to go and check out in this particular article that will give you a bit of an overview of how to maybe plan for the next 6 months. I don't know, maybe 12 months out, but definitely go and check that out. All right. So for our final article, we are showcasing an article that Overhaul actually wrote for our website. It's called Why Data, Focus, and Follow Through Are Shaping the Future of Supply Chain. Now you're probably wondering, data again? Well, I almost feel like data is the foundation, and we're still not there yet. We're still not, there's so much changing. There's so much data coming in that I think, there is some feeling of overwhelm out there, considering everything that as supply chain professionals we have to go through in supply chain right now. Data is just another layer, but it's the layer that's going to take us into the future. And that is what this article is talking about. They're also talking about risk management and using the data to be able to help to mitigate those risks. Now, you've heard me talk about your risk dollars in supply chain and really taking a look at where you're going to spend those dollars. A lot of people are talking about maybe bringing manufacturing back, maybe looking at other manufacturing facilities, diversifying their supplier base and where they're actually buying raw materials versus finished products, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those all have a component of risk. And the data is really going to help you be able to make those decisions on where your supply chain needs to go in the future. An interesting stat that they talked about in this blog is that 80% of 80% of the people that they spoke to when they were writing this article says that new technology is needed over the next 3 years. 3 years, I almost think right now. I mean, if you're not thinking about technology right now and how that can help shape the future of your supply chain, I'm just not sure. A couple of other things that they mentioned. So they said agility is taking advantage of an opportunity. So we talk about agility and we talk about resilience, right? And those words have kind of become buzzwords, but I really like how they framed the word agility to really design it into the way that when we're thinking about supply chains, we're thinking about the agility of supply chains, we're taking advantage of an opportunity. So changing the mindset around that particular buzzword. And then they also talked about transition versus transformation. And transition, if you want to think about transition, think about it as continuous improvement. And transformation is thinking completely differently. So when you're using those words interchangeably, when you're talking internally about supply chain, or maybe you're talking to leadership about the possibilities and the opportunities that you can maybe create or change things within your supply chain for the better. Using those words in these capacities, transition, continuous improvement, transformation, thinking completely differently, is another way of just changing your mindset around some of these buzzwords that are coming out that I really liked. AJ, did you did you have anything to add? I know I kind of covered that whole blog.
Pretty much did. I'm like,
It seemed to be like one breath.
yeah, well, one thing, just kind of reading it, we posted it on Saturday, so it was kind of my Saturday reading on the flight home from Chicago. They talk about e-commerce and how it really boomed, especially during COVID. And to your point with technology and data, we need it now. It doesn't need to be in 3 years, because think of the spike in technology that it was needed, as well as data, during COVID, how everyone was going to shopping online or getting home deliveries it felt like overnight. And I know a lot of people that are in the service industry, and it was just crazy well, now more people are wanting to have food delivered than come in because of that ease of use. And now they're tailoring more to that's where like Uber Eats and DoorDash really got into the niche of things. Now you see like GoPuff, that's doing home deliveries, and like even now Costco.
GoPuff?
Go.
Is that for like any kind of delivery or a specific?
It's an American thing.
Anyways, I'm not even going to go there. So, right before we go, I do have to tell you that Allison over on my personal LinkedIn, to your Costco comment about are they in Canada, she also says we even have them in the UK. LOL.
Oh, I know they do.
It's going to be viral. I think somebody needs to make a meme of this because AJ's never going to live this down. Anyways, I just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us today. AJ, you've been a great sport and really enjoyed having you as a guest finally.
Finally.
It's been a lot of fun. So next week, Audrey will be back for Thoughts and Coffee. I hope you all have an amazing week ahead, and we'll see you next week. Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.